everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there for the last week. Unfortunately, I already across the country and working. So this is my closet of a room, um, apartment, I guess. But I wanted to still put together this video to do my part of my presentation. Um, so definitely this quarter learned a lot about really what it means to be an RA. I think it's been a really enlightening experience to sort of break down the reasons why community is or is not strong, and in a related note, why people feel comfortable in their residential dorm life as opposed to others who, for whatever reason, feel like they are disconnected from their staff, even from their roommates or people on their hall. And I think this process of each week having a different focus has helped me think about all of the moving parts that are related to it. Because, again, we have such different experiences, and it's one of the great things about Stanford, but I think it also makes living, especially in a freshman dorm or any dorm at any year, difficult because people are just not going to be that similar to you. Or at least for a lot of us, people at Stanford are much more diverse than they were in our home communities, which is definitely the case for me. So a few lessons that I thought were extremely salient for me was probably last week's lesson about social status. I think it's something that's not quite talked about yet, and I could sort of feel even in our room that it was something that we weren't necessarily comfortable talking about, just because it's obviously just such a sensitive topic because we are all part of, allegedly, right, a social status on campus. And maybe we're not at the status that we wish to be, and also it's something that you can't really change because it's just who you are and it's okay. But definitely this feeling of being classified into high status, in the middle, or low status is something that can be very painful for a lot of people, and it has to do with wealth, I think, in a lot of cases. It has to do with race also. And but at the same time, I do think it's important to acknowledge that we will have residents of all types of quote-unquote social statuses, and it's important to try to connect them all, and at least try to build a community in which everyone feels comfortable. Another topic that I thought was interesting was when we were talking about race a few weeks back. We watched a very powerful video that was a roundtable discussion, and race is definitely something that is still evolving for me in terms of how I feel about it, just because I came from a very homogenous society. But I think probably one of the most memorable discussions that I had this quarter was about that video, and was about specifically when one lady, she was crying and she said, "I don't think I trust you," to one of the other people in the class who happened to be black. And and he sort of, and when she said that, I was surprised. I thought she would have, or I thought that he would have sort of been really upset and said, how dare you, like, not trust me, like, that's definitely racially insensitive. But he sort of just shrugged his shoulders and said, yeah, I know, which is not what I expect, and I think it's still really difficult to have conversations around race because not everyone is open to it, especially when they're talking about their own race and when they haven't necessarily been able to have the time to be comfortable with it within the larger community of Stanford. But I think that these discussions that we do need to continue to have, because if we don't talk about them, they'll remain even a bigger problem because they'll just be present, but in some ways invisible. Um, so I hope you all have a great last class, and I'm sorry again that I couldn't be there to hear all of your wonderful presentations, and I wish you all the best of luck with finals, and have a good summer break.